that is because I have no idea when you're watching this. A lot of people, thankfully, tune into the replays, so that's really cool. Morning, everybody. Cold snow. Ham, you got cold snow? I mean, guys, I'm referring to. I think I was expecting a shipment to come in from Toronto yesterday. I think they got 2 feet of snow. Crazy stuff. And you can see, as some of you may joke about, my MI6 attire, being that I'm in thermals and such. Good morning, Nancy. I have a hot coffee here. And let's get to it. I'm going to take a step away from the typical layout, which, frankly, I don't know what it is. But I got a very interesting article yesterday. Let me turn back. Last week, between the January 6th anniversary, the Iran protests, and the episode between ICE and Renee Good, where she was killed, I connected the dots on Sunday, saying that we have the liberty and the freedom to express our opinions. Let me fix this camera just a little bit. We have the liberty and we have the freedom to express our freedoms in the way that we want to. But isn't that being compromised a little bit? The reason why I say that is two things that are going on, and I don't think they're contradictory at all. The first I'll put on the screen here. I am a user and a happy endorser, I guess, of the search service called DuckDuckGo. They are a search engine that really helps you maintain your privacy online. And they sent out this article in their weekly newsletter. I'll be sending this out by email after the stream. I can't believe that there's sort of a playbook on how to protest nowadays. I'm a proud American. We pride ourselves on freedoms, liberties, speech being supreme, if you look in terms of the amendments. I mean, yeah, it gets to the point when you read down this article, leaving your phone at home, potentially masking up. And with today's technology, you can have a positive facial ID with errors, but a positive facial ID with just your eyes. Just your eyes. And if you go back to when the college protests were happening on campus with the Palestinian stuff, Kevin O'Leary was saying that companies, organizations, and HR were using those softwares to identify these protesters. It's not exactly free speechy, but that's, I guess, here's a question for you guys. Is free speech in peril? Or does free speech, is it changing because of technology and the times we live? I'll take a sip while the comments come in on that. Second point. Yesterday, in my attempt to be a little mingly, and I very much subscribe to the you don't want to be in a news desert kind of thing. You need to be connected to local news. It's one of the things, one of the number of things that I agreed with in Bernie Sanders' book when he ridicules how there are news deserts happening across the country, further nationalizing everybody's news diet. My book selection is something I could definitely get into later on. But here's this. Mahmoud Khalil, he got his case overturned. And I'm sure this made the newsletter at some point, but I can't exactly point to it. That case, in my opinion, is did he engage in free speech? He did. Did he screw up in terms of not complying with the applications and the laws? He did. Does Congress have the right, or I'm sorry, does the executive have the right to revoke a visa? They do. Do they have a right to revoke a green card? They do. Is a green card holder constitutionally protected with a freedom like freedom of speech? You guys know my fondness for Alan Dershowitz. He says no. I don't think he says no because Alan Dershowitz happens to be a Zionist. I think he says no because of his legal explanation. The protections that a green card holder has is statutory, not constitutional. Given that it's statutory, the green card could be revoked. Further strengthening the case for the revocation is the fact that there was some inaccuracy, however petty it might be, on his green card application. I don't know the merit of that, but I mean, working by some Gaza or Palestinian affiliated agency might have been an issue that the administration wanted to have known about before granting him the green card. That's just me thinking here. I don't know enough about the omission or the misrepresentation he might have had, but this case is definitely going down and further bakes into the entire free speech debate in America. So I just saw both of those headlines yesterday, continuing the theme that I really put my finger on last week. So you have Iran going on. People are literally dying by the thousands to have their voices heard. You have January 6th, where people made their voices heard and I think never suffered the consequences for it. You have Mahmoud Khalil happening, and you have how to protest in America happening. And of course, you have the mass uprisings that you're seeing now of people against ICE. And by God, remember last week when I said, I sure hope the best for Minnesota? I mean, let me stop sharing the screen here. What a state, and Minneapolis now is even more under the microscope. What is like? What is all the activity? I mean, again, is it? It's a not cause and effect. What's the? It's a nature versus nurture kind of theme going on here. Why is it the coverage causing chaos, or is it chaotic because of the coverage? You don't know. You don't know. But that's just my take on something going on there. Now, let me move on to something else. When it comes to my news diet, I hit on two things yesterday that I think were of pretty big significance. So let me focus on two alternative takes to the Maduro and to the Iranian situation going on right now. First thing, Maduro. I did not hear Senator Paul's criticism of the entire Maduro operation. He criticizes the indictment, the process by which we've extracted him, and further goes into ridicule of our justice system. Let me explain. I watched his interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored. I tend to watch Piers Morgan Uncensored from time to time. How I fit it in with my Smerconish diet, workout drives, that's how it happens. My workouts and drives are basically politics shouting in my ear. Senator Paul had a very interesting line saying that in Maduro's indictment, he has an indictment for handling machine guns or something of that nature. And he said, if somebody is getting indicted for handling machine guns, every world leader should be indicted for handling a machine gun. And it just shows the machinery of our justice system and how he will be indicted and he will serve the rest of his life in our prison system and so on and so on and so on. I always knew Paul was more of a libertarian kind of guy. Uh, I tend to agree with him on how almost routine it is to indict and convict somebody in our justice system. But I'm not against the capture of Maduro. It sets a dangerous precedent for the world's order. But wow, I mean, it was an alternative take that I never heard before. Mainstream media, I mean, heck, even Michael's newsletter, to my knowledge and to my reading, never made a point of that kind of substance against the capture. Uh, so I was happy to hear that. Second, I want to focus on the Iran situation. Piers also had an Iranian professor, very pro-regime, and as we are, very appreciative of hearing alternative perspectives. The Iranian professor provided video footage of what he claims is protests against the terrorists in Iran. There was an Iranian on the stream in real time who said, those aren't protests against the terrorists in Iran. You're reusing footage from the funeral of Qasem Soleimani when Trump took him out. I don't know what the truth is behind that, but I hope that it does come out. The regime's stance, it's entertaining to hear at the very least, is that the United States and Israel are collaborating and stoking a revolution within Iran to overthrow the Ayatollah. So they had peaceful protests for about 7 days or something like that, according to the regime. And then after the seventh day, terror ensued, provoked by the U.S. and Iran. Sorry, by the U.S. and Israel. So listen, I mean, you'll be able to ask me this on Sunday, but my parents and grandparents kept on telling me that when they lived under a dictatorship, they never even believed the weather forecast because of how they used to spin things in dictatorships and when a certain narrative needed to be achieved. And it's just I see it in real life. This is the Middle East. It's crazy stuff. Lastly, another passion of mine, in addition to Smerconish, this community, and what I do for a living, is open to debate. Open to debate has a new CEO. I know the people at Open to Debate. I would even argue personally. Um, I go to almost every one of their New York City events, which there are plenty. And Open to Debate now has a new CEO. Cleo Connor stepped down, and Leah, I forget the last name, stepped up as CEO. So we spoke yesterday. She had an introduction to the Open to Debate organization. And I spoke to somebody on the inside, and they let me know they're going to be spending a debate on whether the capture of Maduro was good for world order. So I have no problem cross promoting that. and I may even work it into the programming here. So that's that. That's open to debate. Um, that's what's going on in my life, and that's what I wanted to cover. Now I'm going to dip into the comments and questions. I will put in a link to call in live if you so choose. I hope I said something controversial enough for you to go back and forth with me. And we do have some time left. So here we go. That is your link, ladies and gentlemen. And let's go through some comments that just scroll by so nicely. And I'm very thankful for the engagement, everybody. So, think of the irony. If we honored MLK, descendant of slaves, and Washington, slave owner, on the same day. Well, I would love to have been part of that conversation. Looks like I took a comment out of context here. Hamilton with the wind chills. I feel you there. It's funny enough. I know I have a friend. Their freezer was out over last night, and as a temporary fix while they got their freezer repaired, they put their food in bins outside because it was effectively the same thing. That's pretty funny. Okay. Hey, Pete's around? Cool. Pete. Love it. Pete, yeah, do let me know. Did you like Dershowitz Trump? I mean, I really like Dershowitz. I do think a point of criticism on Dershowitz is he seems to look to support Trump a lot more than to analyze things as they are legally. I'll give it to him. He predicted that the Supreme Court will shoot down his birthright citizenship executive order. But I mean, I think he's either about to release or released a book on how he could run for a third term. Why would he stretch over backwards for that? It's a very outlandish argument to stake your reputation on. But otherwise, his legal analysis largely, I mean, I like. And he does seem to be pretty nuanced. That's something I admire about him. And he did have a podcast that I tuned into. Unfortunately, his producer was his son, and his son passed, so that stopped. So now, Hound, let's go into this. Using Dersh's analysis, they would need to revoke all green cards and not specific or individual ones. Well, no. What Dershowitz's analysis goes for is the protection of free speech for green card holders is a statutory protection. So now, if the executive, in their discretion, wants to use that power to revoke the green card, which the executive granted to the green card holder, they can do so. And added is that element of he didn't disclose prior employments or prior engagements properly in his green card application. The second point was I believe there was a question on whether there was some sort of endorsement of a terrorist organization or something like that. And they were trying to connect it on whether he supported Hamas or not. I'm not too clear on the details now. I was when the case was fresh, but this just came back since the appeals ruling reversed that decision yesterday. Let's go into Desert Sunset over here. Free speech is for everyone in the states, citizen or not. In some way, yes. In some way, yes. By the legal analysis that I'm citing, sometimes it's constitutionally protected and sometimes it's statutorily protected. Again, that's the legal analysis I'm looking at. There may be some case law otherwise, but that's just what I was exposed to. You have something on your own. I'm more than happy to learn and engage and evolve. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? I'm definitely not set in my ways in no way about it. Oh, there's a thing that's happening in the news. Trump is trying to provoke people so he can invoke the Insurrection Act. I think since the 2020 protests and riots that happened, he always looked at it like a some sort of tantalizing maneuver to invoke the Insurrection Act. I don't know. It's like he wants to do it. I don't see his appeal. Maybe he wants to be a big strong man, but I mean, guys, an insurrection is an insurrection. It's not Minneapolis. Just it'll, yeah. There's that. Let's go with what else we got. What else we got? What else we got? Corinne had to head out early. Missed her. The ones that reached the Capitol should be in jail or have spent time in jail. Nancy, that's the comment I'm referring to. Amen. And let's look at a couple more comments and we'll wrap up. Hamilton White, Trump administration is trying to eliminate, that's, I believe, 1A, 1A, and others' free speech will not survive as we know it. Oh, the First Amendment. I sure hope not. I sure hope not. The First Amendment is, well, I'm not going to go ahead defending the First Amendment. You guys know how valuable it is. It'll definitely change. And as much as Trump wants change, especially on the constitutional level, he's going to test it. And I believe the checks on his power will make sure that something remains. And listen, on the bright side, all it takes is someone who is a major believer in the First Amendment, as we know it now, to just undo it, right? And I'll take a few more comments, and then we'll head out on our Fridays. Nancy's opinion. You have free speech, but if you're here on a green card, know that you can get kicked out. Seems to be, again, the perspective that I'm pitching here. On there was someone. Here we go. Robert commenting to Nancy. No opinions are being released today. If they were going to release opinions on cases, it would show as may release opinions on the website of their day. Well, let me show you something from my business inbox. I got a notification just last night that the infrastructure or the apparatus for tariff refunds may be set up, and I've paid more than my fair share in tariffs over this year, but I cannot believe that they're going to be issuing refunds for those tariffs if they get ruled unconstitutional. Cannot believe it. Do I think it's possible? I think it's possible, but wow. I'll say this last comment and then we'll wrap up. There were people in my industry saying, make sure you file protests for every single tariff you pay. You can file a protest with everything with Customs and Border Patrol, everything that you import, you can file a protest of the fees assessed. You have 6 months from the date of import to do so. So people literally went back 6 months all the way to Liberation Day, April 2nd, my birthday, and filed those protests just so when and if the Supreme Court overturns it, they get those refunds. I think it's an outlandish thing. No one's getting their money back. The Treasury will not do it. Or maybe, here's something, Trump will bill those refunds as tariff dividends like he was thinking of, and it's sort of a win. He's going to say, oh, so the Supreme Court is making me give out tariff dividends. Here you go. Check signed, DJT. I don't know. Ladies, gentlemen, fantastic Friday. I'll be sending out both of those articles that I found note in with a follow-up email. Thank you for being with me. I hope to see you here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a live. And then this Sunday is something special where I think I'm going to open up with a commentary and then definitely with an Ask Me Anything, just because I want you guys to get to know me better. Typical American human, family man, just want to deepen a relationship with you guys. So come with questions prepared, questions, personal, professional, political, ideological, religion, any of the above. And we can talk. And we can talk here, we can talk by chat. I can invite you in, and we'll go from there. Guys, have a great day and off to work.